All right, so the tournament on December 29th just ended, and I'd like to go over the deck that I used. There were 8 players in the tournament, and this is the winning deck. There were a few adjustments from the previous iterations that I'd like to discuss. So we have the standard Corridor, Time Turner, Hagrid deal. One of the biggest changes is this deck includes inheriting the map. One huge issue with this deck is if you don't draw a Time Turner, then it's wildly problematic. And if you don't have a Time Turner, you can't find anything else, and so I need to be able to find a Time Turner. So that's why inheriting the map is here. And with that, it opens up a ton of doors for everything else that I'm about to talk about. So this deck is built to handle literally anything. Some things more than others. For example, like events. My only event... Wait, where is it? Yeah. The only way to handle events, really, is by either destroying their lessons or playing Filch, Hogwarts Caretaker, or like picking on Neville, stuff like that. Or Guide to Advanced Transfiguration for things like confronting Black. So that's like the weakest thing, but I have my newts for creatures, lost notes for items, and characters are handled in the main deck with Dementor's Kiss and Faux Glass. So Faux Glass is just wildly busted, especially against things like character decks, because if I can get a Faux Glass out and they don't have a run in play, it shuts down all their characters and it's game over, basically. Anyway, so let's go one by one. 4 alchemies. It's a really weird decision. I kind of don't like having 4 alchemies, but at the same time, I would rather... It sucks that it takes an action, but at the same time, I think that the goods outweigh the bads, where for example, I might need to find 2 Cure Magical Creatures lessons for my Basilisk so that I can play it, and 3 for a Whomping Willow. We'll get there. So it helps to find lessons that I need, really. And potions is one of them. So you'll notice I have a single potions lesson. That is for my sideboard for these 3 potions cards. I might as well talk about it now. So these are Character Hate, Potions Project, and Misbrewed Polyjuice. And Invisibility Potion could come in handy because I can find it with inheriting the map, if it really comes down to it, but it never found any use in the games that I played. I guess what I want to say, just as a blanket statement before we go one by one, is with inheriting the map, if a card is like really strong, like Table Trouble, all it takes is one single Table Trouble to totally swing the game. I don't need 4 Table Troubles. I don't need 4 Transfiguration tests. I don't need 4 Flying Motorbikes. I just need the one single Faux Glass, for example. I can get it back with Hedwig, things like that. So I love this deck because it's so versatile and there's so many different cards. It's like, I think 27 different cards in this that have like 1 copy, and it's really fun to play. And I think that this, compared to like Deboning, I think they're both equally, I'll say toxic. I'd say they're both equally toxic in the way that I think they call it like a prison type deck. But this is fun to play because you play according to what you need. in that specific case. Anyway, so that was the kind of mentality going into this, is get one copy of a really strong card and play it once, and then have the bread and butter of everything else with 4 copies. This is an edition which I actually love. This, A Guide to Advanced Transfiguration. 2 power for Transfig is just insane. And what it does for me, this is basically like, because if you look here, right, if they have a like a boar in play super early, or if they play something chunky like a, I don't know, Welsh Green Dragon, then really I don't have a way to get rid of it other than Newts and Transfiguration Test, but this is my out. I have a Lapifours in the sideboard, but this is the main way to handle a big chunky creature, which is really nice. And then Full Moon, classic. Newts can do 2 damage with Full Moon in play, which is freaking amazing. 1 copy of Ice Only Swear. I'd rather not have multiple copies because all I need is 1. 3 corridors is all I need. Having a 4th is redundant. I can just find more. I can heal with Pomfrey and get them back. I can use Headway to get them back. It's not an issue. 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. All these are classic. Lesson Destruction. This is very different than the previous deck, which is more of controlling everything else. This is controlling lessons. Banned item list, I think, is stronger than people are giving it credit for, because, like, let's just pretend I put 3 banned item lists out. It's just like, oh, I'll just play Table Trouble and get rid of them. No, because in order to play that Table Trouble, it's going to take 8 power. Meanwhile, you know, I have like if any other deck is using these, they're going to be like destroying lessons, right? I'd say most of the time anyway. And good luck getting to 8 power to use your Table Trouble. The only way to really get around this is like Quarrel or something like Invisible Ink, which people just do not run. Pomfrey, classic. Dementor's Kiss, classic. Classic. Basilisk is huge for character control. So character control is Foglass and Basilisk in the main board. And that's all it takes, really. Whomping Willow is a new addition. What I noticed is that if there's a Draco deck, it usually doesn't run Transfig, which means that it usually has some way to deal a little bit of damage to a bunch of creatures like Fumos or Basilisk Fang or whatever. And this against a Draco deck that doesn't get rid of it, it's just over. It's game over. Bowing to the Hippogriff didn't get played at all this tournament, but the mentality here is I can just play a really fast Basilisk and a really fast Whomping Willow with Inheriting the Map. I'm not sure if I really like it, to be honest, but it's just 1 card slot, so really it's not that bad. And I kind of count this toward my lesson count a little bit. Kind of not really, where it's basically 3 lessons in 1, which is huge. But yeah, getting out an early Willow and an early Basilisk where people can't handle things early on is just, that's a lot to take on. These are those strong cards that I just need 1 copy of in Foglass. And what I kind of noticed in these tournaments is people go all in with aggro or all in with control, and it's kind of not both. So if I get one of these things in play and it's not a control deck that I'm playing against, then it's probably going to stay there. I played my Foglass a bunch and people just didn't get rid of it. No one got rid of my Time Turners. I don't think anyone got rid of my Corridors unless they had no lessons in play, which is brutal. Filch to get rid of events. Snape, having that extra lesson and another way to heal is really nice, actually. And if someone else has a Pomfrey in play, I can still play Snape. It's pretty rare to have someone else play Snape. Empty Frame is for anti-characters. No Time to Play. I actually did play this card, believe it or not, and this was to get rid of a match. I originally put it in here because I really think that the strongest item decks out there are Quidditch item decks, because potions, you can't stack all your items because you're tossing your lessons, but you don't have that issue with Quidditch. So I'm terrified of Quidditch items. There were 2 quaffles in play at one point, but I couldn't get this card at that point. But anyway, like I forget the name of it, the Ireland book. It's really strong, and getting rid of them all in one fell swoop for 4 cost, and I get to keep my time turners and banned item list in play is just insane. McGonagall's Office, I'd rather have this in play than a corridor against characters. So this is an anti-character card. Instead of playing 3 characters a turn with Ron in play, they can just play 1. So it's unique. I can find it with a time turner. It's just like there's a ton of character hate now in my deck. I used to have 4 of these, but now I just have 1. I'm not afraid of adventures with this deck. The only time that adventures were played, people were honestly just discarding them as fodder for corridor, which is just like nothing. I think adventures are in a place now where they're not as scary as they used to be. So I have 1 copy of this. I can find it if I need to. I'm going to talk about Filch now. I don't know if I'll have Filch again. I'm just not afraid of adventures until I have a reason to be afraid. And like playing him is so expensive. 3 actions just to get rid of an adventure that maybe I can just solve on my own. I don't know. This combo of Project into Misbrewed Polyjuice is just game winning. If I can inherit twice to find one and the other, play Potions Project first and then Misbrew after that, it's over. Because it just all the characters go into their discard, and then this counts it all up and does even more. So Hermes, I might not have Hermes. I don't know how I feel about it. I actually might keep it because that gives me another, if I want to, I can play another Table Trouble or Transfiguration Test if I need to. I kind of don't like it. I might get rid of Hermes. EKT came in handy. There was a drawing/Colin deck that I played against, and I drew into this luckily, and I didn't have to find it with inheriting the map. And all it takes is 1, and I didn't have to draw for Colin, unless I wanted to, of course. So that was super handy. Lapiphors for, like a random boar or a Welsh Green Dragon that hops in play, and I need to get rid of it. What's really nice about this, I'd rather have this than Incarsophores or something silly, like maybe Counter Curse. I'd rather have this because I can swap out their creature with my own anti-creature, which is a Newt. So I can get a Newt into play. This is like the only way to find a Newt, really. Invisibility Potion could come in handy, but I didn't really play against any control decks, so it wasn't an issue. Stan, I don't know if I'll have Stan again. This was like an alternate way to do damage, but this is so much control that I just don't need another source. I might not have Stan. And then Walden is for, I guess it's the other way to handle Welsh Green Dragons and boars and things. And then one thing I kind of wanted to touch on was the tricolor thing. What's really nice here is the single potions lesson that I put in play. I only really need it, and even then I don't need it. I'd rather have it for a character deck that I'm playing against, so I can play these 2 cards, and character decks will not be getting rid of any of my lessons, so I'm not afraid to have 1 single potions lesson. Invisibility Potion is so I'm not worried about it, that I'm willing to risk not being able to play it, so. And Full Moon also provides potions, and Snape provides potions, and so it's just doesn't hurt to have it. So those are my thoughts. It's been quite the journey. This deck has been in at least 3 tournaments now, and this is the one that actually succeeded. Anyway, I like to talk about all this because a lot of it doesn't get to see play. I don't know, people will never know why I put in no time to play, or Potions Project into Misbrewed Polyjuice and why I only have 1 lesson. So I like explaining my thoughts here. All right. Thanks for watching.